everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are. This is Carter McKinney of the Entrepreneurs Club podcast. I have here Mr. Lawrence Wright, master barber, electrician, community service expert, as well as many other things with self-defense. He's a family man and an immigrant from Jamaica, among so many other things. This man has been such an amazing role model and friend and business partner of mine, and honestly brother in community service. So welcome to the podcast, Lawrence. We're doing a haircut during the podcast today, so this is different, but let's do it. We're here for it, and just say what's up to the people, and I'll ask you a few questions.
Sure. Good afternoon. Nice to meet you guys. Welcome to the Barber Pill. Hopefully you enjoy the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Lawrence, I just want to start by saying, what got you into barbering? I know you've told me about Mr. Clyde Clyde Bosket, RIP, legend.
Pop Thornton, DJ.
Mm-hmm.
This started way back. It's been over 20 years now, pretty much. It's all started in high school, to tell you the truth, in Florida. Going to high school, a guy named Leon Robinson. It's part of a story that was done a while back. Had to tell the story because there was a guy who wanted to write these magazines. Actually, I have an example. This magazine right here. So it kind of brought me back.
Here, go ahead and show it to the camera.
The Line-Up magazine. So yeah, this one.
Mm-hmm. So here, flash it to the camera so the people can see. Very nice.
So that was the story that sparked all that, me going back and actually hashing that story, how I used to get these haircuts and the guy used to ball your head off.
Yeah.
He never used to leave much hair up there. Mm-hmm. So I decided I was interested in cutting hair. Leon says, are you really serious about learning how to cut hair? And I said, yes. And 10th grade, wall clipper. That's what I started out with, a wall clipper. And he basically showed me how to fade. He showed me how to deal with the clipper, how to actually work on myself. And I kept practicing. Obviously, you're gonna mess up, a couple of times before you get it right. And so I got better and better. As I got better, my friends volunteered. So that's how it all started.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that with us. And being someone that's in close proximity to you, I know that you're also a mental health advocate. Can you talk a little bit about, mental health as, just you as a professional, as a black man, as a family man, and just in general? Can you talk about mental health? And, we can maybe flash some pictures of you wearing your neon green mental health merch.
Right. I don't really have any pictures of that, but that's not from me. It's from Preventive Measures.
Yes. So
every year I do the 3 miles for mental health because that's personal to me. But I want to, let that be known that it is a thing, and that we should check. That's why I always say in my posts, please make sure you check on someone, because you never know. Your voice could be that voice that could save that person that day. You never know. So just because you're going on about your day and not really thinking of anything else, have a person that you would like to check on each day. You could change it up, you could switch it up, but it's important because you don't know who needs you that day, and that's why that's very important. So every year I do a 3-mile run with Preventive Measures. It's coming up, actually. I think in May is when it comes up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you always you do a story on Instagram almost every day, telling people to check on someone, like you said, and you never know how someone's day could be going. Yep. And I really enjoy that. And a part of this, mental health conversation, every morning you kind of tell me that you create space for yourself.
Yes.
And this is even a good segue to talk about you as an electrician.
Oh, yes.
About how you work overnight.
Yes,
a lot of nights. Yeah. And then you come home and you make space. I just came
from work this morning.
And then you make space to have reflection with yourself.
Yes,
so if you could just talk about that a little bit, please, and your job in New York.
So my ride is about a 2-hour ride, so you have a lot of time to reflect, think about things, go through certain things in your life. over that 2-hour thing, your mind could be going a gazillion miles an hour. So there's so many things that you can go back and say, man, I could have done that better. Or, I just jogged through my mind as I'm leaving work. So what I try to do is leave work at work, because some of that stuff is not meant for you to carry with you. And it's a whole nother story. The job it has its stresses, but I try to turn that off each day. I don't want to bring that here to home. I want to leave that at work. I try to leave work at work.
Absolutely.
And this is part of my peace. This is not work to me. This is more of my passion. So even though I am working, it's not work.
Fantastic. And I think another great thing to touch on would be in a similar conversation as family. Like Sundays for you, you close the business down.
That's right. Saturdays too.
Saturdays and Sundays. And Mondays. So the weekend and the early week on Monday is for you to take time with your family.
Yep.
No calls, no texts, just a quiet space for you. So can you just try to share with the people a little bit about the importance of mental health and of making space, and especially as an entrepreneur, a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs or prospective entrepreneurs.
Right.
So can you just tell them and talk a little bit about the importance of mental health and balance in their journey?
There you go. And you said the key word. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's what that is. The balance, right? You have to put work down and be personable to your family in order for you to have, how would I say, a better bond or a stronger bond, especially when you have kids. I have 2 boys and the wife. So, you're looking at building that even stronger, because now, a lot of these families are discombobulated, whether it be finances that do it, whether it be the stress of work. And like I said, we just mentioned all those things that can mess with you. Stress is the #1 killer. If you ask around, whether it be hypertension, because you said black man, we're life expectancy is probably 65 at most, right? We're expected to live that long, and in order to do that, we have to avoid, obviously, stress, stress, hypertension. Watch what you eat, take care of yourself. But in terms of where family's concerned, I try to put the work aside. If somebody's calling me about a haircut, they're going to get hung up on, because I'm dealing with my family at the time. And you got to learn how to separate that. It's not that you're being rude. It's that now is not the time for that.
Boundaries.
And yes. So you got to set that, And some of these clients, they know I don't come here Monday, Sunday, or Saturday. But some people are programmed in their mind that a barbershop should be open on Saturday. But I decided to change that. So it's up to you and your schedule. Normal barbershops may work how they work, but that's how I'm going to do it for right now, because I have a mental peace by not going 6-7 days working. That's why I work from Tuesday to Friday, and I cut it short because of obviously doing 2 jobs.
And that's the beautiful thing about owning your own business, guys. Like, for the people that are already business owners, or for those that are still looking to get started or continue their journey, that's the thing about your business. You can run your business how you choose to run it, in terms of hours of operation, your days and times that you're working, how you're working, and when and where. And that's the level of control that you get. And speaking of that kind of thing, Lawrence, I know you're also big into self-defense.
Yes, absolutely.
So, you're I believe a black belt, or multiple times certified with a black belt in Taekwondo.
Yes, sir.
And I believe Jiu-Jitsu as well, or?
Well, I'm not a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu yet.
Okay, so can you talk a little bit about your fighting journey and what that does for you, and maybe even how it does loop into mental health as well?
Well, it's not about the fighting, it's about the self-discipline, because it comes in handy in everything that you do. When you're a business owner, you have to have certain discipline about how you run your business. It spills over into everything else. Taekwondo is like my second family. I'm going to say it like that, because that's how it is. I don't just do Taekwondo, I live it, right? As much as I can. And it spills over into everything that I do. Mentally, it keeps you stable. Mentally, gets you to think about being disciplined about whatever you're doing. Give it your best shot. Don't half-ass anything. Keep everything in orderly fashion, because Taekwondo gets you to be that way, be organized, be strategic. That a lot of that in fighting, that's strategy. So I like to compare it to chess, because that's what that is. Same thing with jiu-jitsu. It's chess. It's a chess match. Sensei Evan, Evan Robinson is my instructor, and he often tells me, like, as soon as you make that first move, if you're not the one that's going to make the move, the first person to move is probably going to lose, because that other person that you're tussling with is going to counter you, right? So that's where your martial arts discipline comes in, where you got to be careful how you make your moves, right? It's the same thing in Taekwondo. That's more of a stand-up art. So your footwork is going to matter. Your thinking process. What kick are you going to throw to bait that person in, if it makes sense? In a business standpoint, okay, what moves are you going to make to separate yourself from that kind of a business owner that you probably want to be, or aspire to be, meaning better and better. As you continue your business, you want a business to get better and better and better, to the point where your reputation now speaks for itself. And so that's what I tried to do over these years. I fine-tune everything. If I made a mistake, okay, I made that mistake, I write it down. Like I said, you have to keep an organized thought about everything you do with business. Obviously, obviously you got the responsibility of taxes, you got the responsibility of products. As you can see, it's all here. And then I have to think about, how do we, because it's a business, you have customers. So my mind goes straight to thinking about the customer first, because it's not about me. It's about what the customer is going to get from me when they come to the business. So that's how my mindset goes. And that's how Taekwondo helps you. It makes you focus. It's like a micro-focus. So when you're working on something, if I'm fighting you, my focus is here, right in the ring, right where we are. I don't care about what's going on out there. And it spills over into life. If I'm having family time, I don't care who's calling. Except it's mom's, dad, or you understand. Same thing with everything else. It spills over into focus. It gets your focus to be that focus. And it gets you to be sharper. Like, iron sharpens iron. You come in, us talking, gives me great ideas. You always say, hey, you should do this, this, and I consider it, and then I say, oh man, maybe he's right. And I, just like how you did with the business card. Yes, he redid my business card. When you told me to make the website better, I did that, and it got more business. Same thing. Once I did the website, I updated the other things like Instagram, Facebook, and all that. So there goes the focus there, because you're business minded yourself. You're doing multiple stuff, so I commend you on that.
Thank you.
But it just shows that when you're focused on something, when you want it to be that good, and you're going to end up leaving a legacy anyway, and that's what we all are aspiring to do as entrepreneurs. Is the favorite word I like to use is inspire. Because once somebody sees you do it, they're like, well, if he can do it, then really maybe I can do it. It gives you hope. It inspires you to try something that you're scared to do or afraid to do. And that's one of your questions. Is that's the word I use for that. It says write 3 statements. I only need 1 word. Inspiration. It takes care of all those little sentences that you're going to write, because if you're inspired, yes, you're going to take the risk to open that business. You're going to take the risk to say, okay, this is a challenge. Let me see if I'm up to the challenge. And you challenge yourself, right? If it fails, then it's a win anyway, because you tried. There you go.
And Denzel Washington, great actor, he said at a commencement speech that he made at a graduation, he said, fail fast. So
you could go back and try again.
So you can get right back to it. You don't want to kind of linger in it. But failure is essential.
Yes.
I really liked what you were saying with Taekwondo, that it's more of a lifestyle.
You have to live it.
And I want you to touch on, being a Jamaican, being born in Jamaica, speaking patois, having, family and friends and community in Jamaica. And then tell the story of how you came to Florida and early days, running, being a runner, and how your Jamaican culture reflects how you run your business and how you live your life, and even touch on maybe the storm of Hurricane Melissa as well.
Well, it wasn't really Melissa for me, but it was Hurricane Gilbert, because I'm dating myself.
Well, the recent one.
Well, the recent one, the country's destroyed, obviously. I didn't have many family that was like in danger because we're on the other side. But coming here as a Jamaican, I ended up in Florida. We ended up going to school down there. And that's pretty much where most of my education took place before I moved here to take the job in New York. But just overall, being a Jamaican, we have 10 jobs, 50 jobs or whatever, it's just more than one things in order. And I guess that's our mentality, is to make sure that we're never shortchanged, that you don't stick all your eggs in one basket kind of mentality. And that's why the 2-job thing or the 3-job thing, I think we're just natural hustlers in a good way. There's always room to make something better. Obviously, when you put something ahead of you, it's like my parents, I'm going to speak for myself, my parents instilled in us, like, you could do whatever you want to do, try your best. My mom always says, strive for excellence, because that's how she was, and she was strict with us. And it kind of got me to, it kind of guided my mind to be like, always give it the best shot. Give it the best that you can give it. If you give it your all, even in the running days, I used to run till I used to fall out at the finish line, because I gave it my all. I left it all on the field. Mm-hmm. That's it. So life is the same way. If I can live it to the fullest, and then I fall down and die, then I did my best. Mm-hmm. But that's
you
kind
leave
of
it all out on the field.
Leave it all out there. If it was track and field, I'm running till I pass out, because I'm giving it my all. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to shortchange it. I'm not going to, obviously you got to be strategic about how you use your energy in a race, but that's what running taught me, the same thing. Just like martial arts, running is an art too. Once you're disciplined enough, obviously the more you run the distance, the more you're comfortable running long distance or running at a certain pace, the better you get over time. And so coming here and doing all those things in elementary school, middle school, I started in middle school actually, but me and my sister started running in Jamaica. That was our first sport, track and field. But those kind of things taught us discipline also, because the school we were going to, obviously over here back then, you were getting flogged, you got in trouble, you was going to get a beat down. But this is a different kind of society now. It's different, right? Kids don't get beat anymore. Some of them are disrespectful because they like to talk back to their parents. That wasn't allowed during my growing up. You talk back to your parent, you get a shoe in the face, or the bust me, or the clogger, the broomstick, the switch, go pick your switch. That's my era. This era is totally different. So discipline is a little different, when it comes to it now. Obviously, some, kids still do respect their parents. It's a different way to parent now.
They call it soft parenting.
Well, yeah, because we came up, man, you was getting trampled. But hey, nothing happened to us. I'm still here. Yes. So still here and still doing it. Like I say, when we first came, my mom was like, look, focus on school, do your best with school. But over time I learned that school sometimes isn't everything, and that's why I ended up in the trades. I didn't want to waste time and effort and money to spend in college. Not that I'm not knocking college, but it's not for everyone. So what I'm doing right now is a trade, and it can be a professional one, and that's where this is all stemming from. So me joining the union and taking that job, obviously, yes, some school did help, because I did learn computers and things like that in order to do the job. And then I went back to school, obviously, because higher education. Yes, exactly. Right. So they'll send you to training, and you have to understand what you're doing in that kind of a work environment. So,
Yes.
you know, so being a Jamaican, you know, you just apply yourself the best that you can. You know, we're hard workers. I got to say that. You know, we come from a country that there's people that they work very hard, you know, for whatever it is, and they pretty much, they won't stop until they get what they want out of life. You know, that's kind of like how I view, you know, coming here as a Jamaican. I look at this place as an opportunity to where you can be whatever you want to be if you apply yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's how I view it.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I know that you host a big cookout and a block party every year, you know, where you have your jerk chicken and stuff like that. So I guess this is a good time to talk about community and community service. Lawrence, for people that don't know, Lawrence volunteers at multiple locations and facilities to do free haircuts, you know, to volunteer his time for back to school. He does a back to school drive for multiple years straight that I've actually had the privilege of assisting as well. In addition to cutting hair for the homeless, underprivileged people dealing with substance abuse, you know, recovery. So can you just talk about what community and community service means to you?
Oh man, that means a lot because I really wasn't going to get into it. It started because of two barbers that asked me to actually start that, because I was going to just leave it alone and only, you know, volunteer anytime people ask me to come out, not just to do it on a consistent basis, because it does take up your time. And like I said, the balance, right? If it's going to take your time up, that means it's going to take your time away from your family and take up your personal time. But
and your business too.
And your business
too. Making money.
Yep. So I decided to do it because I just wanted to make sure I did my part while I was here. I just felt that it was time for me to go back at it. And, you know, those barbers not showing up when we first started kind of propelled me into saying, okay, somebody has to.
There's a need.
There's a need for it. And where there's a need, then somebody should volunteer. And I believe I had enough time to do it. So I picked a day that it doesn't affect family time as much, right? That's why I picked Mondays. And so yesterday I kicked off the year at the Hope Center. The Hope Center is one of them, and they do deal with guys who are in recovery. They also do counseling there. They do donations from there. We also have the annual book bag drive there now. I had one here. It became the actual great spot to have it. So that's where we're going to probably be doing it until it gets probably bigger.
Where we grill outside and do all kinds of things.
Yep. So the other one is Operation Address the Homeless, where homeless, they come, they get fed, they can take showers, and they get a free haircut. So that's going to continue. And so I made the time to do this because of what I've been seeing. Like, everybody's talking, but nobody's doing the action. So I felt compelled. It's like somebody in my head told me, Lawrence, you could do it. And I just started giving the time on Mondays. And now what I'm doing is incorporating my boys to come and help so they can see, right? Because we're not all as fortunate as you think. And for them to see it, just like I see it, is a good thing to make them realize that you're not the only one going through stuff.
Stay humble.
Yeah, and be right, and be grateful for where you are, right? So that's the whole point behind all of that, and I'm glad I did it because it gave me a better perspective. It humbled me a lot of times. Things that I used to worry about, when I see what I see out there while doing the community service, all of that goes away because we're lucky. Because, you know, there's a guy that comes here, he says, you know, we're all one paycheck away from being homeless, right? And according to how the economy is going, you know, everything went up, you know, people are struggling, like real live struggle. And to see it in the flesh is another thing. When you hear their troubles, what they're going through, what they're what they're focusing on. Like, wow, they're only focusing on that. And
like getting food
and
later
you're
today,
right. Like, what am I gonna eat tomorrow?
Yeah.
You know, kind of like, where am I gonna sleep today? And I'm like, wow, you know, it changes your whole being. To hear, you know, someone that used to have a job and used to be doing well and now have to be in that position to be wondering where the next meal is going to come from, or where the next resting spot is going to be, or are they going to have to get a tent? And I learned about that through the Hope Center, where they actually do outreach. They go out to where they are and they give them water and whatever they need. And I didn't even know that was a thing. They call them like encampments, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those do exist, and you know, me seeing all that, and I saw it because most of the time I'm running. I train for the Savage Race, and I look down underneath the bridge, and there they are. They're all under there. Even downtown Bethlehem, underneath that bridge, well, now I think they removed them, but that was part of something that they wanted to do to, I guess, clear the area. I'm not sure how that works.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, me seeing that was like, wow, you know, here you are worrying about something that you don't have to worry about, but, you know, they're worrying about other things other than what we're, you know, it's just a total different mindset.
Absolutely. You touched on the Savage Race. Can you tell the people a little bit about what that is and what that does for you?
Oh man, the Savage Race is like a personal goal now because, you know, there was a customer that brought this to light for all of us as guys to do it once. And I think the only person to show up for the first one was Wagner. And then after Wagner came with me that one time, I decided that I was just going to make that a thing every year, was to do one. So, well, last year was my fourth one, so this will be the fifth race when I do it. That's why the t-shirts, the medals are over there. But it's a personal accomplishment. You don't have to walk the race. I choose to run. You don't have to run. But it's a 3-mile hike, 20 plus obstacles, and every year it gets me to refocus. And you being up in the mountains, it's in the Pocono Mountains at the skirmish, it takes you to another place. It's another type of fellowship, and everybody there is so kind, so nice, and it's all about having fun. Obviously, you do need to get yourself in shape before you go jumping in. You know, you can't just go jumping on a race like that without being in shape. So, you know, that's why I do it every year. It's a challenge, a personal challenge, and I try to exceed and try to, you know, put my best effort, which last year was my first time ever completing the full course. So I did every single obstacle on that course. So I actually completed my goal after the fourth try.
Kudos to you. Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
well, I really think that this is a great platform for you to be on. Me getting to know you personally.
Yes,
and you know, you're into, again, the barbering, an electrician, a family man, a self-defense expert, and so many other things. What else do you have for, you know, the person that is starting their business, the person that is in business or maybe even struggling and they might want to close their business? What words do you have for them that might help them out?
All right, so in terms of if the business is failing, it's time for you to sit down and revamp. See what can make your life easier in running the business. If you are a business that has employees, then it's time to evaluate that. How you organize your employees. What are the tasks that they should be doing? Maybe have what they call a morning meeting. Morning meetings do help if you're a person with a business that has employees. This is a single chair operation, so I don't really have anybody to per se look after, or, you know,
meet with,
or meet with, or even have to give instructions. But as a business owner, you have to have a business plan to cover all that if you're going to have employees. If I did have employees, obviously I would be there on a day-to-day basis, checking in and seeing what's needed, what needs to change to make each process easier for that person, whether you're selling or performing a service, right? And it's just like I'm here doing the service, so I kind of pinpoint certain things for myself. What can I do to make that experience better? And part of it is just nitpicking at your own self. You have to, like I said, reflect in the morning. How can I be better tomorrow? If I didn't do everything the way it ended up today, then if you're fortunate enough to see the next day, yes, you can change it as long as you're present and accounted for. You can change it, and it's just all about just reflect for that day, see what happened that didn't go so well with the business first, and look at the years of business and see what you did that was great for the business and what wasn't great, and then you go from there. You create a punch list and you go down that punch list. Let's say you had a bad experience with, let's say, a service. If it's a service oriented, okay, what could I have done better with that customer? What didn't they like? How could I make that a better experience? If you sold something and you need to sell more, well, what can I do to promote this product to sell more of it so I can get more out of the business that way? If you want more clients, what can you do to attract more clients? What changes can you make? And you always say it, advertisement, promote yourself, because you're a media guy. That does help, but the personal touch is what I value most, is when I come up to you and I say, hey, Carter, nice to meet you. My name is Lawrence Wright. I got a barbershop over here. Here's my card. If you ever want to try my shop, feel free. You might say, oh, do you have a website? Yes, I do. And there goes why the website's important, right? And then I throw in, you can book from anywhere. And once you say that, they're like, really? So
yeah, the self-service system is great.
Yes, exactly.
So
to that struggling person, they can go over these lists, this punch list that I always do every year. In my mind, obviously, because I'm a one share, they might have a bigger establishment, a bigger company. They would have to create, obviously, a giant punch list if they have a lot of stuff to take care of.
Yes.
I only have a minute list because it's not a big barbershop.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing all of your gems and tips and tricks with the people, with me. If you just want to tell the people where they can find you, and how, and how they can connect with you, in a closing word.
Okay, yeah. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram. The website is www.thebarberpill.com. I'm here at 1422 Center Street. If you want to stop in, feel free. There's other platforms that I'm on out there, but those are the main ones I use all the time. So feel free to reach out. The website has a link for each of those things I mentioned. I'm also on the Google space. So I have Google Business, so you can always check me out there. If you want to see things, I posted some new pictures of like haircuts, and that's it. Feel free to stop in. I'm right here in Bethlehem, so I'm not far from a lot of you who are in the Bethlehem area. I'm on Center Street, so like I said, 1422 Center Street. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Check out Lawrence Wright from the Barber Pill, Master Barber, and many other things on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, even. And yeah, check him out for his old school straight razor shave. That's what people love. That's why I love coming to him, and among so many other things. So thank you, Lawrence, for being on the podcast.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Appreciate you guys.
Peace.